So welcome everybody. We will talk today with Enno about Orthos. I'm Marcela Mašláňová. I'm Technical Project Manager for S390 and Orthos.
Hi.
Product owner.
Yeah, I'm Enno. This is essentially a revision of last year's talk, and I'm currently the developer of Orthos 2. I have taken it over from other people, so it is not my creation. I have just had the luck to take it over. And as such, for those new faces with us, we wanted to talk a little bit about what Orthos is. So the initial creation was that it was actually starting out as an inventory management system. This actually is not the case anymore. This was in the meanwhile worked out to Netbox. Or moved to Netbox. Then we are searching for hardware. This is one of the core features that we still have. And for the end users, the most convenient feature is probably the machine provisioning, meaning you have bare metal and then you turn any bare metal hardware into something with an operating system. Then to solve scheduling conflicts between machines that have specific hardware and that are probably have more interest or demand in them, we also have a machine reservation system in Orthos tool, and we are managing the serial console server. Hannes, let's skip the questions to later. Okay, then the other way around. Hannes said in the audience that it's also a pure reservation system. Yes. The main instance we internally host is to be found for the internal users that we have present, orthos2.arc.suse.de, and this URL can be considered stable, meaning it should be present for the long-term future. Now to Marcela to explain a little bit how the different components are working together.
Right, I can explain it for sure. So we have serial console, which has direct access to machine, and Orthos can use Cobbler for installation of machines, or you can use the direct installation as you wish. Next slide.
Yes. That was already it about the architecture. Now, what did we do in the past year? The past year was mainly invested into the Cobbler Terraform provider because in the recent years we split our internal network, and as such we did this to comply with common criteria. And this also meant that we not in all locations at least had direct NFS access to the installation media anymore, meaning we used the Cobbler Terraform provider to enable us to remove NFS-based installations and switch to locally proxied repositories via HTTP, which is already rolled out and working great for at least for the feedback that I got from the users that gave me feedback. Then while doing that, we noticed, well, Django 3.2 is not the most up-to-date version of Django anymore. So we frank it is out of end of support. As such, we upgraded to Django 4.2. And for the power users that actually add machines to Orthos, we fixed the very annoying bug that adding machines times out in the web UI. In a little bit more of the recent changes, we added experimental /16.0 and SL micro support. Both of them actually don't have automated support because Cobbler is missing the features that are required for that, but you can manually install /16 and SL micro via the serial console. Other than that, one of the things that we also enabled is that Orthos 2 and its supporting infrastructure is now scanned by Qualys, which is our internal security scanning tool of choice. And I have received access to be able to respond to the corresponding security issues that appear on the scans. And now I want to give back to Marcela about what we didn't deliver on, what we planned on doing.
So, Enno promised to do this stuff last year, but well, we have priorities and he can't finish in one person everything. So these things didn't happen. SaltStack should be available through the Cobbler formula, which didn't happen yet. He also wanted to enable Cobbler with TFTP support, but that depends on new version of Cobbler, which is still being tested. Then we would like to support modern auto install. Like we would like to install also cloud init images and Agama, which changed support of those files for automatic installation. And then containerization of Cobbler on Orthos 2 would be good, but well, it doesn't have priority.
Yeah, and now for the next year, so essentially for this year. So currently what I'm working on and what I will hopefully be able to finish rather soon, that Orthos will receive Netbox integration. So the primary source of data will not be the Orthos database, but instead will be Netbox, and Orthos will essentially just cache the data in its database to make it searchable. Then what we're also currently working actively on is ARM and PowerPC support for the staging instance, so that I don't break production when I roll out a new version. And then also what has happened actually in the week before SUSE Labs is, and we were able to finish, is serial console support for the staging instance, which now we had some bugs in this with 1.4, and that's why I added it, even though, I initially didn't want to do it, but now we have it also in staging, so hopefully it doesn't break in the future again. Then something we got handed over by IT, which is a topic that will inevitably touch all of us, is that we will receive a new authentication system internally. This will be based on Authentic, and this will change the authentication for both the web UI and the machines, meaning your login will not be done via LDAP as it is currently, but instead we will use Authentic as a data source. This should, in theory, change nothing for the users because your credentials are the same. It's just a different backend. But the change that is relevant for you guys is that this means that no NFS homes will be needed for logging into machines, which especially for the new colleagues which don't have NFS home will be very convenient. Other than that, due to last year's performance regressions in Cobbler, we have decided to put up the Cobbler performance test suite on pull requests on GitHub on upstream to prevent regressions from being merged even in the development version into Cobbler, because in retrospective, I spent multiple months fixing those, and this is an effort which we could have prevented from happening if we would have known upfront. And other than that, will be working on automatically updating machine information inside Netbox, because we don't want to manually enter all the information for each machine and keep it up to date, as this is a very task that's automatable. Now, Marcela.
Okay, so I decided to close Bugzilla because we track already tickets on too many places. We support our users on Slack, on Help Orthos. You can find both of us there or someone who can help you and give advice. GitHub is for opening issue, usually if you know what you are complaining about or if you have feature requests. Jira SD could be used for generic Orthos problems because the machine might have trouble or something else could be broken, and it doesn't have to do anything with Orthos. There are buttons for reporting bugs. You can find on the top of Web UI report problem. So this will automatically create in Jira SD ticket. And you can also report documentation issues. There are probably some. We have a lot of documentation for self-help in internal documentation and external. And we will be happy for ideas and improvements. Okay, so this is also mine. It's statistics of machine we do have. So maybe it doesn't look great, but which one?
The red one.
Okay, so S390s are currently not supported in Orthos because we have a cloud instance when I can borrow your machine. Then you can see other architectures. Can't see. Okay, so we have 75 PowerPCs, but free are only 32. It's partially because some of them have long time reservations, so they are not available to general users. With x86 also doesn't look so great. We have 300 and something machines, but 70 are reserved for infinite. It's usually done for teams which are done some performance tests or need them for a longer time. But you should be able always to find a machine which is working and free. Also, we are not responsible for, like Enno from Orthos is not responsible for making those machines runs. Their owners are responsible for those machines. So we can't fix them all. Anything to add to the statistics?
Yes, RISC-V is a new architecture. However, we don't have any machines broadly available because the only RISC-V machine we currently have available is only available to enable Orthos 2 for RISC. Yeah, RISC-V. Yes, and Andreas corrected me rightfully so. Yeah, so RISC-V enablement is slowly ramping up, but also there, everything related to hardware is on the corresponding teams that enable those hardware and maintain this hardware. We are very happily mediating and also supporting those teams, but yeah, we have limited resources. Yes, so we have planned a long time for questions because traditionally this is necessary. As such, thank you for listening. And we hope you have many questions that we hopefully can all answer. Please go to the microphones.
No questions, you did well.
That is surprising from the hour of questions I got last year. So, okay. Then we would be done quite early if no one dares to ask questions. Yes, shoot.
Sorry, you already kind of answered that a bit, that you are not responsible for every machine. But basically, my biggest complaint about like Orthos when I try to use it is that a lot of machines are in some bad configuration state, and I cannot absolutely find some machine that would work. You know, when somebody comes, misconfigures the machine, and then I cannot do anything about it if I come after the person. So I guess my question is there some like monitoring system that would, for example, scan all the machines like every night and try to identify the ones that are kind of misconfigured, that SSH doesn't even work, and
we have this. These are the 4 checkboxes on the right side of the machine overview list. This is running every night, and thanks to Fabian Vogt, the scheduler actually is fixed, so the information should be up to date of this. And this is checking IPv4, IPv6 availability, SSH as service is enabled, and login can be done via an NFS-enabled home. So you have those 4 checkboxes that is available.
So they are up to date.
The information of this is up to date. This is a bug fix that we did during the last year. This was last year. This information was not up to date, but this year it is.
Thank you. That's great. And maybe next question is there some automated creation of tickets that would be automatically filled for the people responsible for those machines? Like, this doesn't work, somebody mucked it up, and maybe somebody needs to fix it.
The issue here is not the ticket creation. That's easy.
I tried to go through all those tickets and assign them, but it's not so easy because network is down. So whose fault that? Who should fix it? It's a lot of back and forth. Like, IT should put some cable or restart some service, or it's the machine owner. So yes, we could create tickets and we would have a lot of tickets, but then they would have to be correctly assigned.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Maybe keeping on the same subject, maybe it would make sense, or just an idea that I had right now, to have like a fifth checkbox for serial console access. Check if that is working, because many times there are problems with this console or problems with PMC or whatever, and this is not working. Then if the machine is not working correctly, then it's the first step that you need to actually fix it.
We can take that home, but that's actually a very hard thing to do, because is it working if there's no output, or is it broken if there's no output? But yeah, we'll take it home and see if we can find something. In general, that's definitely something that would improve maybe the situation.
Yeah, the biggest problem which we actually have is identifying where the problem lies, because the all of the machines in Orthos are remotely accessible, which means that they can only be considered working if they are remotely accessible. But in order to do so, you first need to have a working network connection. If you don't have that, surprise, surprise, you can't reach the machine. And identifying whether you should have a working network connectivity, or whether this is one of the, well, occasional hiccups the network exhibits recently, is really hard to do, because there really is no announcement that there is. So really, it's we can't really tell. We get lots of tickets. Oh, the machine is down. Well, no, you know what? It's actually not down. It is just, one of these reasons. Network had been down. Machine has been reconfigured. Same for the serial console. Yes, we could check, but that requires the machine to be set up to even display anything on the serial console. If it isn't, you won't be seeing anything, even though you have a working serial console. So there are lots of things which have to come together for you as a remote user to be able to identify this. Oh yes, this is a working machine. So that is the really hard part, to ensure that the machine is always set up correctly and always is accessible to any remote user.
One thing that I've been thinking about is the DUD that is used in Orthos automatically. And I can understand that some customizations need to be done for a machine to be properly integrated in our network. But on the other hand, it's kind of intransparent for the Orthos users what exactly the scripts on this DUD are doing. And sometimes you really need to set up a system exactly like a customer has it, or without any additional scripting or whatever. And if, I would like to ask if there are any ideas to how we could solve that problem in a more transparent way. For example, by using Salt or Ansible or something like that to apply the necessary customization so that users can see what exactly these the DoD or what kind of customizations are done.
So we have in the internal user documentation the 4 installation flavors described, which are install, install auto, install SSH, and install SSH auto. And what you would probably look for is the install feature, because that would just boot a vanilla /15/12, whatever you want, up. And then before, if you intercept on the serial console the boot menu in grub, you can edit the boot config parameters however you want. And then this is exactly what those install is meant for, this flavor, that you configure everything yourself.
Oh, okay, that is what I'm doing. Actually, remove the DoD part, but then I don't know what I'm missing, or whether I should have added it. What's it really good for? Yes, of course I can do that, but.
The DUD is literally just creating mkDUD on the cobbler host and nothing more. So everything mkDUD without any arguments executes as a scripting that is contained in the DUD that we currently deliver internally. There should be the only reason we are doing that is because some machines need drivers, and those drivers are sometimes not available, which is very convenient for especially new prototypes that we receive from partners. So this is why it is enabled per default, because we don't have a way at the moment to flag on a per machine basis if the DUD is actually needed. And as the DUD is not harming 99.9% of machines, it is just present per default. If there's a need for FVC need to change that, that's not a big change. We can do that because most machines nowadays actually work out of the box without the DAT. But again, there will be those machines that need it, and then those machines will fail, and we somehow would need to store that information that they fail. Yeah, it's just a feature request we will take home, and we can then evaluate it off screen. I see that we have still roughly 10 minutes, so if anyone feels inclined, step forward.
Hi.
Hi.
Something that I'm missing maybe is more frequent images update. Like right now we are at the release candidate 4 or something like that. And I don't see these images available to install. I have to do it manually from my HTTP server and things like that. Could we improve this?
So you're referring to slash 16.0 most definitely, and not SLE 15 SP7. So as such, SLE 16.0 beta 4 had the very bad event for at least my situation that I couldn't just update the images, but they changed how they delivered the Pixie installation. So it's not like I can just take an image and update it, but I actually have to change all the scripting behind it. And that's why the availability of slash 16 beta 4 will take quite some time for me, because I need to change all the work or need to throw away all the work that I invested to make beta 3 happening and re-implement everything for the way that we do it with beta 4. A lot of the work has already been done by me, but it's not finished, and as such, beta 4 is not available yet.
Yes, okay, thanks. But it will be nice if we can keep option to install beta 3 and beta 4, so I can choose if something is not working, so I can install older release to check something, not just the latest and greatest, but also the oldest, older releases.
I would love to deliver that, but IT will kill me if I request more storage. Currently, the cobbler servers need roughly 1 terabyte of storage per VM. And if I make older images available, this will increase to 2 to 4 terabytes, depending on the amount of old images I need to cache locally. As such, if we have more users that need it, I will happily do it, because from a technical side, it's not an issue. But we don't have, especially in locations like Prague, an infinite amount of storage available. As such, if we have more users, there's technically no reason to do it, to not do it. But at the moment, there are no plans to do so. But again, I'll take a note and we'll evaluate it, and we can follow up off camera if there's more people actually requiring that.
Yeah, we can somehow count it. Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Hi. Regarding feature requests, one thing that I've been getting complaints about lately is that, of course, we don't only have the latest and greatest system, but also some older systems accessible through Orthos, and some of the BMCs are now being flagged. We're still using Java, which apparently new Linuxes are having difficulties with. So my assumption always was that kind of only admins would ever need to mess with the BMC, and that anyone else could just SSH to sconsole1 and access the serial from there. If that is somehow a wrong assumption, do we have any thoughts about how to potentially address that? Like, would we be able to have some form of HTML5 web frontend to sconsole1 or something?
So technically, Orthos has an undocumented serial console proxy in the web UI already for users, but at the moment that's not documented and fully set up internally, because the initial feature creation was never finished, so it's only a prototype. But technically, if the machine has IPMI as a serial over LAN enabled, which most of these BMCs with Java-based BMCs have, then the sconsole can continue to be used. Only machine administrators would need then to have a leap 42.3 VM where they can use Java web application software still, and then administer the machine or change BIOS, whatever settings the machine has on the BMC that they need to. But normal users should not have the need to interact with the BMC, and as such, this shouldn't be a problem for normal users, as S-console access should suffice for managing the machine from a user perspective.
Yeah, regarding the S-console, I heard that we have several S-consoles, which is a little bit confusing, and how I know which S-console to use to access different machines.
We have a paragraph about that in our internal documentation. Because the question doesn't approach me for the first time, but the short answer is you just match the FQDN of the S-console to the FQDN of the machine, and then you should be good. So we have a serial console server in Nuremberg, and we have one in Prague, and we have one in Provo, and essentially the machine, from a locality perspective of the machine, the corresponding S-console is then the right tool for the job there.
Going back to serial console over IPME, I'm a bit worried that in the perfect world that would be enough, but unfortunately we have many machines where the BMC is not stable enough, or the IPME is not stable enough and it breaks down, or we have one machine that you can read but you can't write. It seems that there's something not soldered on the machine or whatever. So I think it's a valid alternative right now to use the serial console on the BMC web interface.
No.
It would be possible to implement something like this, at least as a stopgap for machines that we know IPME is not working correctly. That would be great.
Hannes, I know your answer. Let me try to paraphrase it. No, it is not certainly an option, because there are ongoing efforts to even split out the BMCs fully, due to the fact that security is an ongoing topic in our company, and we cannot easily allow access to the BMCs in the long term.
And we would easily do this if someone would provide us with a wrapper, which would just paste them into a command line output.
Yes.
Because the biggest problem is that all of these BMC graphical things are, well, vendor specific. And they do vendor specific things to get you the data. So we can't just say, oh, it's there, just use it. No, you can't use it. You have to create a wrapper, scrape, or whatever to get the data off the BMC. And that's why we didn't do it, because it's actually quite cumbersome doing it.
Yeah, if the model even supports that, some machines actually don't expose an HTML5 based serial console, and they just allow you serial console access via IPMI, meaning if the IPMI, so my take on this is the following. This is just my personal take. If the business has a different need, then we can discuss again. But the current take is if there's no IPMI serial over LAN access, then the machine has to go from Orthos. Because for an engineer remotely that doesn't have intricate knowledge about this specific machine, it is impossible to know that instead of S-console, they need to go to a BMC address they probably don't have knowledge about, let alone the credentials they haven't been officially given. So if we have to do it, we will find a way, but I would like to avoid it if possible. Yes, that was the last question. Thanks for all your patience.
Thank you for coming.